This year's winner of the Red Grange Award is Samuel Tuckerman, ETA of the Yale chapter. Sam is a left-footed place kicker for the Yale football team. He is an Ivy League first-team All-American, and he is Yale's highest scorer ever.
You know, I was asked as the alumni president of the ETA chapter at Yale to make a few comments in addition to those that were introduced by Stephen Halpern regarding Sam Tuckerman. Sam is truly the right guy for this award. But many of you listening to this don't know who Red Grange is. If you're 50 years and older, you probably do. If you're 40 years and younger, you probably say, yeah, you know, I kind of remember that name. Red Grange was the preeminent football player of the early 20th century. He had a nickname called the Galloping Ghost, and he was the most outstanding player that the University of Illinois has ever had. He did extraordinary things, and he was perhaps the best college football player of that era, certainly of that era, and maybe of all time. In fact, and by the way, of course, he was a member of ZETA PSI at the University of Illinois chapter, the Alpha Epsilon, and he was a very loyal Zete. He really cared about the fraternity. But he went on to play for the Chicago Bears, and he was in every poll that's ever been produced over the history of football. Red Grange is in the top 10. In fact, I think I can remember back a number of years ago, Sports Illustrated regarded him as the top football player of the 20th century. So Red Grange is not just a phantom name, but a distinguished name in the world of sports, and especially in the world of football. Sam Tuckerman won the game against Harvard this year. He'll be embarrassed by my saying that, but I'm telling you that I watched that game. It was on ESPN, and what he did was an extraordinary feat. He not only converted all of his extra points. He's the kicker, by the way, of the Yale team. And he only did it for 1 year. He only was the kicker for his senior year. But he was awarded all New England, all Ivy, and because he was an extraordinary kicker. But not only did he score all the points that he had to kick, including extra points and field goals that game, but he did something that many of you who are football fans know is a rare feat, and that's to successfully kick an onside kick.
Tuckerman going to move it from left to right here. There's the bounce. They squibs through, and it's recovered by Reed Klubnik.
Sam did it with perfection, and it was recovered by one of his fraternity brothers at ZETA PSI. So it's more intriguing at that point. What happened was during halftime, the field of play at the Yale Bowl was overtaken by protesters of climate change, who wouldn't clear the field for about an hour. So that ran into a significant delay, such that by the time that the score was tied by the Yale team late in the afternoon, they had to go into overtime. And most of you know what scoring is in college football. When it goes into overtime, each team gets the opportunity to score, and then it's transferred to the other team. Well, both teams scored on the first two possessions in overtime. And so they went into the third possession knowing that this was the only time, the only one that's left, because it was growing dark that day. So what happened was Yale scored first, and then they stopped Harvard. So what happened? They won the Ivy League title, or co-shared it with Dartmouth. But guys and my fellow brothers, Sam Tuckerman made it happen. Again, he'll be embarrassed by my saying this, but I know. And not only that, but he was an outstanding young man, is an outstanding young man, and he was the treasurer of the fraternity for 2 years. You know, and he and his partner as the Phi at the time, Jack Westerfer, did an incredible job of upgrading the fraternity house. Any of you who've been at the ETA know it needs work. It has needed work. It's always needed work. But these two guys, especially Sam, undertook to get a lot of upgrades done to the house while he was there. I just want to say what a privilege it was for me to work with this outstanding young man who is so deserving of the Red Grange Award. Power to you, my friend.
So congratulations, Sam, on winning the Red Grange Award.